Shalom and welcome to Branch of Israel. This is Rabbi Roger coming to you from God's beautiful country, Israel. During the planned pandemic, it somehow seemed for many to have brought on much discouragement. The only concern I have for believers during that time was, could they have missed something special from God? In other words, was it a test to see who would trust Him or who would give in to its woes and concerns? Well, I'd like to say whether you did or did not does not matter, because we serve a God of grace and many chances. We serve a God that loves everyone and wants everyone to go to heaven. But unfortunately, He knows that not everyone wants to go or will go based on their own merits. That is why He's given me a word for 2023, and that is the word encourage. Keep your head high and just know that God wants to encourage you so that you do not get downtrodden. But there is something that you need to do with it. So what is that? According to Isaiah 35:3, we are to encourage the exhausted and strengthen the feeble. In 1 Thessalonians 5:11, we are to encourage one another and build up one another. But how does that encourage me? Remember, give and it shall be given back to you. Treat others in the same way that you want others to treat you. In Romans 15:4, the scriptures were given to us so that through perseverance and the encouragement of the scriptures, we might have hope. Now, I want to encourage you with something. Recently, I had to go to the hospital for someone whose husband came down with COVID and pneumonia simultaneously. In the natural, it sounds like a lost cause, and I have to admit that I knew a couple of people that died from that same combination. But I was not about to tell his wife that. Instead, I heard something inside of me well up and say, "Not on my watch." I knew then that no matter what the circumstances looked like, God was going to prevail. Yet, I had to be able to convince her of that because she did not like what the doctors were doing for him. But I had to help her redirect her thoughts. On the first day, I went back to the hospital to check the visiting hours for the ICU, and while I was there, I ran into one of the nurses who worked with him. So I would know how to better pray. I asked her questions about the turn of events if everything went well. I was told it would take 2 weeks for him to recover, and he would need to stay in a minimum of a month because of needing rehabilitation afterwards. Like any good medical prognosis, I chose not to accept it or believe it so that my belief was not bound with theirs, because I only believe God's report. I then asked to go in and pray for him, and I was granted permission, and I called heaven into that room. The next thing I had to do was make sure his wife did not speak anything negative, but only what was good and positive. She needed to run the race and look at the finish line. Long story short, he got out in about 2.5 weeks and flew back to the States. For more teachings and information, visit branchofisrael.com. Again, this is Rabbi Roger coming to you from Israel. Thank you so much for listening. Lahithrots, goodbye, or see you again.